This video is not a tutorial, it is a breakdown, or rather a run through my creative journey and my artistic pipeline. But first, let me take you to the end. Let me show you how the tower looks right now. I've been working on this little Unreal 5 diorama for a few weeks now. I have flat materials, there are no textures. This is meant to be in a World of Warcraft art style, yet we don't have any of that yet. But before we bring any of this World of Warcraft style in here, be it through texturing or any further geometry work, I thought in this first video we could go over my research behind the art. Hey artists, my name is Pete. Over the past few weeks, outside of my work at Rebellion, I've been doing a personal passion project. The project is a stylized diorama of a tower, a mage tower. It is in the style of World of Warcraft. I've been playing that game, I've been playing WoW for over 14-15 years. I've been playing it since 2010. In all that time, I am rather surprised that I've never created any World of Warcraft fan art or tribute. As such, I thought I'll change that, and I will create this tower that is sitting in the middle of a tiny plot of land, and the tower has a lot of magic going on around it. It is related to the mages in World of Warcraft. That was not the initial idea that I started with. I started with the thought that I want to create a tower, but I didn't really know what the tower should be dedicated to. I started the idea thinking that it could be a tower related to alchemy. That is one of the professions in WoW. I did further research and I took a lot of screenshots. And in this video we'll go over that research. I'll show you where I went in WoW and what type of screenshots I took. I'll also take you through ArtStation and some of the research I did there. And then, in a rather more exciting twist, I'll show you how one of my friends, Oliver Harbour, did a paint over at one of my stages of my 3D blockout. He expanded the visual language and brought the idea about it being a mage tower. His help was fundamental in order for me to go out from that middle blockout stage I had into something that was truly in the WoW art style. This video is not a tutorial, it is a breakdown, or rather a run through my creative journey and my artistic pipeline. It is not meant to instruct you word for word, instead it is meant to inspire you and rather give you ideas and avenues to explore when it comes to tools. My tools are Blender, Unreal Engine 5, Zbrush and Substance Painter. This video, I imagine that we will go through some of those packages. I'll show you this and that, but again, I'll be cutting from part to part, showing you time lapses, and in general, just giving you an overview. I don't know how many parts we're gonna do when it comes to this series, to this Apexis Mage Tower project. It might be just this video, or maybe we'll see more. Either way, let me know down in the comments whether you like the format of this video and whether you would want to see more of this style on this project or maybe perhaps on another project. So let's dive right into it with first seeing my research and going through WoW. Let's start right there. My research begins in Azeroth. I take my levitating space octopus for a ride through Dornogal. This is one of the new zones in the expansion War Within. Dornogal is filled with stone structures with intricate copper and gold trims, like the ones we're flying next to right now. Those structures have a simplicity and elegance that I really like, and I would like to use that in some parts in my own work. For further reference, let's go a little bit back in time to the Burning Crusade. I'm taking my flying alien squid for a ride through the Netherstorm. This is a zone in the Burning Crusade where I remember that in one of the corners of the map there were these interesting crystals. Here we are. I really like these crystals. These are called Apexis crystals. Next, my gravity-defying Situnian god and I, we are in the Blade's Edge mountain zone. Look at those crystals, I just love them. So I want a bit of them in my own project, why not? While we were flying through all the different zones that we just saw in the previous frames, obviously I was taking plenty of screenshots. Lots of those screenshots I placed here on my pure ref board. If I zoom in, you can see some of my own screenshots right there. But also, I did some extra research and I actually looked into the latest art blast that Blizzard did on ArtStation, where they published lots of behind the scenes concept art as well finished prop art from some of the structures that we see in War Within. Those would be my initial inspirations to actually go for creating a tower like the one we have. And once I looked at this and I liked them, I decided that I will be visiting some old inspirations from the Burning Crusade, like the screenshots and the zones that we visited. I sometimes look at things that are even outside World of Warcraft. In this case, there is this card called Apexis Blast, painted by Tim Sheftson, and it is part of Hearthstone. I also had the help of one of my friends, Oliver Harbour. He painted this amazing concept art after I gave him a screenshot like this from the middle of the block out that I did. He expanded these ideas for going for these floating structures that represent the different specializations for the mages in World of Warcraft. Just amazing cool. Hello, it's me again. I want to make this cut really quickly here because I thought that I didn't go over these few things in this initial recording from back then. I wanted to mention again that the art that Oliver did was fundamental in order to take me towards exactly the WoW art style. The WoW art style can be very chunky and have a specific shape, language and colors. Perhaps I went for the colors and the motifs, the subject matter itself on my own in the right direction, but I certainly needed to develop more the chunkiness and the shape language of what I was creating. The concept art that only did was just amazingly important in order to establish that. I want to mention that again in order to illustrate to you how important it is to do good research, but also rely on 2D art and concept art. It is also good to not have a narrow vision and do things just on your own. It is good sometimes to check with others, friends or colleagues, and see what type of feedback and ideas they could provide. That is what Ollie did for me, and later through the development, I kept sending him screenshots and getting further feedback and ideas. I thank him kindly because without him, well, this project wouldn't look the way it does right now. I wanted to scatter different crystals, which is why I blocked out these parts here, the ones that you see. And after I looked up the Apexis crystals, I actually learned that a quest in Draenor tells a really quick story that some people believe these crystals at night under specific configurations of the constellations and the stars will multiply. I thought that it's really cool, and it actually explains why the heck I have these different crystals growing up the tower. So it's stuff like this, and the structure being at this stage. Next up, we will continue refining some of the shapes, and I will explore some of the different moves that I do in Blender, my work with modifiers, and how I blocked out some of this geometry. So let's dive right into it. After I duplicated the 3 spires, representing the 3 different colors of the mage specializations in WoW, I was ready. Next up, I was going to move into Unreal Engine 5. Before moving into Unreal though, I did refine the land a bit. So perhaps let us cut to a part where you can see another time lapse of me this time around pulling apart into different directions this square plane and creating it into these little diorama mountains and this little cute cut of land. My setup for this was to have 2 different cameras while recording this. There's this one window which you currently see, but then on my other screen there's the window in which inside of Blender I'm in the sculpt mode. The sculpt mode acts a bit like Zbrush. In there I have my different brushes and I essentially can sculpt by grabbing geometry and moving it around. Everything that I'm doing here looks rather quick and snappy, but I would like to point out that for your benefit of observing this, I've actually sped up the footage. It took me around 2, maybe near even 3 hours to create the landscape into a level that I rather like. As such, my work on it wasn't nearly as instantaneous. I didn't accomplish all of this in 10 or 15 minutes. Instead, it took a few hours. While working on it, I also had different moments where I paused, I took different screenshots, I flew around, I explored the silhouette. I needed to make my mind up on the decisions that I need to take of how I should sculpt this. As I mentioned, so it's easier for you to watch, I've actually cut out those moments and you don't see me struggle or go around and take screenshots. The footage has been sped up by about 2500%. In some cases, I would guess I even speed it up by 3 or 4K%. Here, you can see a screenshot from before I started sculpting. You can see the little cute square grid, and then here you can see it shape into the landscape after all of the work that I put in. After the land was done, I started exporting my individual pieces and preparing for Unreal Engine 5. I went into one of my old projects called the Amaranthus Ritual. I will reuse my Git repo for it because I find it pointless to create another depot and use up more of my LFS. This makes it easier for me because in that depot I also have set up some of my parent materials and other pieces that I will reuse. We'll go over this type of stuff at some point later on. Here you can see me opening Unreal and starting to put together this little scene, importing the different pieces like the landscape and then the tower. You just saw me put together a few of the pieces in Unreal. I miss a few others, and those will be the next parts that I export. After I will UV map them, well, before I UV map them, I'll refine them in Zbrush, take them back in Blender, and then UV map them. When I have done the mapping, I will be ready to take stuff into Substance Painter and hand paint my textures. It is a bit early for that right now, but once I get into doing that, I'll do some other time lapses and we'll go through the process of me painting the textures. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that it gave you insight, ideas and inspiration. Hit the subscribe button to keep up with similar videos and maybe see the next parts of the process of creating the Apexis Mage Tower. Thank you for watching.